Hi, my name is Noelin Travel, and I'm here to inspire you, motivate you, and energize you so you can live to your fullest potential. Today, I want to share a very relevant topic, something that many people still struggle with, and that is how do you identify your values? So the thing about values is that it's a common talk, it's a common trend, it's something we talk about all the time. If you've done a job interview, you probably had the question about values. If you are an employer, probably you've asked the question about potential employees, what their values are. And so we talk about passion, we talk about values, but oftentimes people have no idea what their real values are. Now, when I talk about real values, I have sat in interview rooms where sometimes they ask people what their values are, and then people have this habit of first looking up the ceiling, and it's like they pick up every interesting word. They go like integrity, hardworking, or if they have read the company profile for which you're recruiting for, they'll give you exactly the values that the company has listed as their core values. And so that is something that people do, and probably you have done. You change your values depending on the circumstance, depending on the job interview, depending on the environment or the audience. However, when we talk about your values are innate, your values are eternal, they are a default part of who you are, and that's why you can't fake your values. It's very disappointing when you keep telling people you value certain things but you don't show up that way, because then you turn out to be a liar. And why that happens is that oftentimes when people think about their values, they think about their ideal. They think about what would be the most ideal thing to show up as a value. However, your values is not about what's ideal, it's about who you are as a person. Your values are things you live with every day. It's who you are in the spontaneous responses, it's who you are in the default setting, in the way you respond to life and situations. I like to say that oftentimes when we react, when we respond to things, it's not because of what has happened, it's because of a value that has been violated. I'll give a very simple example. When someone who values time and time management, and you show up 5 minutes late and they're literally not amused, like not amused, and you're probably thinking, only 5 minutes, especially if you're an African, you're thinking, only 5 minutes. Why is this person so mad? Why are they frustrated? Why are they agitated? Because you don't get it. To you, it's just 5 minutes. Now, to them, it's not the 5 minutes. It's not even the 1 minute that you're late. It's the fact that you have violated something they deeply value. And so that's the thing about our lives. Looking at your life, there are things that will happen and you'll kind of let it pass. You'll be like, it's okay, that won't get me out of my seat. However, there are those things that will happen and they trigger you into action. Now, the things that trigger you into action, it's not the things themselves, it's the values behind those things. When your values are violated, you are bound to react. You are bound to respond in a certain way because your values have been violated. And so that's why it's very important for you to know your values and to remember that your values are timeless. They don't change with the seasons, they don't change with the times. Now, there are values we can adopt because we go in an environment, you get a job, and these are things they value, so you can adopt new values. However, you as a person, you have innate values. You have things that you have over time come to treasure and value and hold on to dearly. And so in this session, we basically want to discover how do you identify your values, the things that are innate to you, not the ideal, not the things you think about, not the things that your company has put up as their core values. And in identifying your core values, like in the example I've given, in looking at how you respond to situations, in looking at the triggers and the things that push you into action, you begin to identify the values by analyzing what are the values behind these situations. So in identifying your values, we ask a couple of questions. The first question that we ask is, name your top 3 memorable moments in life. Now, those could be milestones, those could be achievements, those could be moments where you felt most fulfilled, most happy, most alive. And just think about it now. So many things have happened in your life, but there are those top 3 that come up, the top of your list. They kind of just come up. Like when you think about it, you're like, I remember this moment. And even when you talk about remembering that moment, it's as if it happened yesterday. It is so real for you that the emotions and the energy, it just energizes you. So I want you to list your top 3 moments, experiences that are most memorable for you. And remember, this is personal. What's memorable for you doesn't apply to everyone else. It's not a one-size-fits-all, so it's all about you. And then when you list those 3 most memorable moments, I want you to flip that situation and ask yourself, what was the value represented in that situation? Whether it was graduation, for example, it could be success, it could be resilience, it could be courage, depending on your situation. Think about those moments and ask yourself, why are they so memorable? What's the value that is embedded in that moment? And then list the value next to each of those experiences. That's the first question that we're going to ask. And then the second question that I'm going to ask you is, who are the people that have inspired you the most? Again, this is very personal. The way you've been inspired is not the way I've been inspired. Who inspires you is not who inspires me. But thinking about your top three, again, top three people that you say, the people that have inspired me the most, and then you list them. And then again, we want to flip it and ask, what is it about this person? Because when you say someone has inspired you, it's not just the person, it's what they embody as a person, it's what they value as a person. And the reason why we find inspiration in our role models is because they value the things we value. It is so hard to be inspired by somebody that doesn't value what you value as a person. So asking yourself, what value does this person embody? Even if it's your mother, there's something about your mother that you deeply, deeply appreciate because you both value that same thing. So again, analyzing, what is it about this person that really inspires me? What is it about this person that really energizes me, that really makes me want to be like them? So across every name, you also want to attach a value to each of those three people that you have listed. And then the last question I'm going to ask you is, what are the things that break your heart? We all have those things that break our hearts, but and there's so many things that we don't agree with. There's so many things that we don't appreciate. However, not everything that happens is going to move you to a point where you will go, for example, demonstrate, or be part of a strike or stuff like that. Then not everything that breaks your heart, you're going to be willing to die for it. However, there are things where personally you draw the line and say, beyond this point, no way. You cannot do this. So what are the things that break your heart? Those are probably the things that also move you into action, where you say, this is the limit. I cannot stand it when I see this happening. I just can't deal with it when I notice this is happening around me. So three things that just break your heart, that move your heart, that move you into action. And again, I want you to flip each of those situations and ask yourself, what's the value that is embedded in that situation, in that thing that breaks your heart? Because it's the value that is being violated that makes you want to move into action, that makes you want to do something about the situation. So what are those things that break your heart? First, we talked about your memorable moments. 2, we talked about the people that inspire you. And 3, we talked about the things that break your heart. And now you have basically nine people, nine things listed down. So, and each of those has a value attached to it. Now, what I want you to look for is, what are the common trends? You will realize that among these 9, that some of these things have actually been repeating themselves. And the fact that they're coming across over and over is a reflection that these are some of the things that you value. However, 9 values are so many to remember. It's advisable that you maximize 3 to 5 values, because you can memorize them. If you can memorize them, then you will be able to identify them as you go through life, as you deal with different situations. So looking at the 9 listed values that you have, tick out the common trends. And what I would like you to come up with is your top 3 or your top 5. Go for top 3 or top 5. And then that is a reflection. Now, I want you to think about what you have listed as your final top 3 or your final top 5. And think about all the situations where you've been asked to talk about your values. And did you mention any of these things? I have done this exercise so many times, and oftentimes what people think are their values is not even their values. After they analyze themselves, they realize that the things they deeply care about are very different from the things they thought they care about. Understanding your values is very crucial, because it will shape your character, it will shape your commitment, it will shape how you live your life, because we live with our values every day. Each one of us has to make choices on a daily basis. And what guides the way you make your choices is your values. When you have to choose between A and B, it shouldn't be hard. It's just a matter of asking, which of these embodies the things I value. Then it's different if both of them embody your values. Then it's going to become a matter of priority or timing or stuff like that. But critically, the easier way to draw a line between choices is, does it reflect the value? that I embody? Does it reflect the things that I stand for? Does it reflect the things that I care about? So understanding your values is very crucial, because at the end of the day, when it comes to people who are in business, entrepreneurs, I believe that the values of the entrepreneur eventually become the values of your business, because as an entrepreneur, people don't do what you say, they do what you do. Now, the thing about values, remember what I said, it's your default setting. This is how you show up. If you value time management, you're not going to struggle being on time. As a matter of fact, as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, as a leader, you're always going to show up earlier than the set time. Why? Because it's your default setting. And because you do it over and over, the people that work around you will begin to embody this same value, because you are their leader and they're following you and they trust you and they probably want to be like you. So the critical thing about building a strong organizational culture, about building a strong company culture, is that you, the leader, you need to understand your own values. And then these values need to be emulated into the company values, so that as a leader, you are modeling what you stand for. You are modeling what you say, this is our culture. The values become the culture, become the character, become the culture of the business, become the character of the person. And that's why it's very crucial for you to understand your personal values and to embody them, and to understand why you do the things you do and what drives you and what motivates you. So I hope next time somebody asks you about your values, you're not going to be looking up the ceiling and picking up every nice word you've heard or whatever word you saw on their website. I hope you'll be able to authentically state what you value, what you embody, and what you stand for as a person. My name is Noeline Chirabo. Have a blessed day and a blessed week. And let's keep the conversations going online. Catch you next time.